Hey, what's up guys? For today's video, I wanted to show off my first place $1,000 Ironman tournament Radiant Typhoon deck profile. It was a 2v2 Ironman tournament. You probably saw some of the replays on DB Grinder's channel. And yeah, so my team brought double Radiant Typhoon, so I'm going to be showing off both the deck lists today. So this is the first list, which is pretty similar to what I uploaded on the channel before, with Forbidden Crown in the main deck. And I didn't really make too many changes. I decided the extra for the extra consistency. But this is the second list, which is the main list I'm going to be talking about because it is quite different from the list I have on my channel. Also, by the way, if you want help with the Radiant Typhoon deck, or just other decks from Burst Protocol, me and Dracoel made like a guide spreadsheet kind of thing. It's not really just a spreadsheet because, like, for example, in the Radiant Typhoon section, I have I made a video going over sequencing, like documents for like tips on each matchup, notes, general tips, rulings, etc. If you want that, you can fill out this form, link in the description box below. But yeah, anywho, this is the main list we use. Like this other list I showed you, we played a couple matches with this, or a couple games with it, like 2 games. But the main list we used that did the best was this list for sure. We led with this list most of our matches. And yeah, so a couple things. Obviously, I'm still playing Extrav. I know some people are talking about other consistency options like Tenki, like Shield Bearer, multiple Mikala. I have a separate video planned to talk about Pot of Extravagance and my thoughts on it versus other consistency options in the deck. So I'm not going to go too in-depth into this in this video right now, but I do think Pot of Extrav is the best consistency option. I think Tenki is pretty unplayable. Like, it's never Tenki. It's either like Extrav, multiple Mikala, or Shield Bearer. So yeah, I decided to go with Extrav. I think it's the best consistency card in the deck. I know some people are still talking about like whether they want to play Fu or not. I think in general, Radiant Typhoon does want their non-engine to be live when they go first. However, Fua is so good when it resolves, But Fua is like the highest value non-engine card by far in the format going second, that I feel like I just have to play it. So there's that. Even to the mirror match, it's not like terrible either, by the way. Some people think it's like, oh, unplayable until like Dracoel or Radiant, just because it doesn't like auto skip their turn, but it kind of pseudo does that. But yeah, Fool is really, really good. So I'm definitely playing that in the main deck. Then I wanted my other non-engine to be live. So this deck can't play that much non-engine, so keep that in mind. Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom might seem weird because like Ash by itself as a hand trap isn't that impactful, but it actually isn't the worst. So a couple of things. Number one, I wanted my non-engine to be live, and Ash is really good when you go first, right? Especially because everyone's main deck in most probably Prelia right now, which is really good in this deck. So I really want Ash for that. Also, Ash going second. Originally, my thought process was, okay, for Dracoel, I can use it to stop Flame. But honestly, in practice, in most of our games, we ended up actually using it on the opponent's turn. Saving it, we didn't hit it on the first card. We normally save it for like a Rahu or something like that. And then honestly, versus a lot of Dracoel hands, it kind of cut them off on a lot of on like some traps too, and some resources. I save it for like Rahu or Ketu, depending on how they started. So Ash wasn't that bad, to be honest. It was pretty chill as like a hand trap against Dracoel. Against Radiant, it's whatever. I will say post side, I do side out Ash going second versus Dracoel versus Radiant Typhoon, which some people might be like, well, if you're siding it out, then why are you even playing it in the first place? Well, the card's not terrible, right? Like it's not terrible. Like, let's say, for example, like, let's take Bell versus Double Cyclone versus Dracoel. If you were playing, like, Radiant, like, Mitsurugi last format. Double Cyclone was better, but doesn't mean Bell is bad. It's the same thing in this deck. Like, other cards are better than Ash post-side, but it doesn't mean Ash is bad. But Ash has the advantage of also being good when you're going first. Droplet is, like, the next best going second card, besides the Fua. And then Fallen and Virtuous, which is low-key a little bit low impact, but it's really good in the grind game. So I like it. Also, in hands where you can't exactly play, Fallen popping a card and then adding another Fallen in end phase is actually really, really good. So I like Fallen the Virtuous a lot. And then the main change here from the main deck is Sheena. So I decided to try out Sheena in the main deck. Before, I wasn't a fan of Sheena because I felt like it was inconsistent versus Dracoel. But I think Sheena is one of the best cards in the mirror match, especially the Radiant Typhoon mirror, especially when you go first, because Sheena going first is really, really good when you're able to play. If you're not able to play, it's not that good, but when you're able to play, it's really, really good. So I wanted to use this tournament to try out Sheena going second. Then that's pretty much it for the main deck. For the side deck, there are a couple of different changes. So I am playing Dominus Purge, but I also am playing Super Poly. So Super Poly has a couple of targets. So before I said Super Poly was inconsistent against Dracoel, and that is true. So obviously we have Secretariat for the Dracoel matchup, but we also have Saint Azamina. So Saint Azamina, you can use their like Ecclesia and a fusion they control, right? And then St. Azamina says your opponent cannot target cards in their field, graveyard, banishment, or this card with card effects. And then if this card was fusion summoned this turn, you can special summon a level 9 or lower Azamina from your deck or extra deck. So what you do is you super poly LA 2 of their guys, you summon this guy summons the Ilias Silva, which is just straight up an Omni Negate. And by the way, if you summon all your guys in defense, it makes that this card, they actually can't activate Horn because they can't horn their own guy, because you can't target their own cards. So St. Azamina actually does a lot. And then also, you can also play, which I did not play, OG Azamina, which basically says you can special summon this card by tributing a St. Azamina in a face-up monster your opponent controls. Cannot be shown by card effects, which is actually pretty relevant. And then the real relevant effect is your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters with 0 attack. Shuts off Ash, Bell, Veiler, Droll, you know, stops a lot of hand traps, which is super duper cool. So this card's actually not terrible. I didn't play it because of extra deck space. Because of extra deck space is a little bit tight, I will say that. But yeah, so this card's another option you can play for that as well. And then the Mud Dragon, obviously Mud Dragon. I didn't play Garura because I'm only siding super probably in going second, and against the Yummy deck, I wasn't expecting that much, but also like I thought they were gonna end on like the Zarin board, so you can hit super probably this card, the Diabell. You super probably the Diabell, and like a Yummy for the Mud Dragon. So I thought it was fine not to have Garura. Obviously, in my ideal scenario, you'd want Garura, but extra space, right? So yeah, and another some people also might say, oh, super probably conflicts with Extrav. However, I felt like it was kind of fine because I'm siding in super probably going second, not first. So you can just side out copies of Extrav and it's like chill. It's not even the end of the world. Although I wasn't even siding all copies of Extrav, to be honest. I still like to keep some in. So yeah, it's definitely relevant when the confliction is definitely real when you go first. But like I said, I'm not main deck super poly. I'm not siding it in going first because quite honestly, super poly is a bad card going first. For Yummy going first, it's okay. But against the other decks, against Dracoel going first, the card is terrible. Like, it's unplayable. So I don't like Super Poly on the main deck for that reason. And also because I don't want to play, like, multiple dead non-engine when I go first. And it's not, Super Poly is not better than Fluid going second. It's just not better than Fluid. That is definitely not the case. So yeah, try out Super Poly. Dominus Purge. The use of this was mainly for, I wanted a card for the Canine decks, and I also wanted a card that could tie in going first in some matchups, and Purge kind of fit this nicely. Purge is super duper cool. It's a card you can draw during your opponent's turn if you have a set vision, or off your mandate, which is super duper cool. Also, it's a card you can activate from your hand, so obviously if you draw it, it's live, but also if you hit by some border breaker combinations, like Lightning Storm, Drop It, or whatever, and you didn't have Totem Bird, well, all of a sudden, you can activate Purge from your hand. So you can play around those like hands that way also, which is super duper cool too. So in theory, Purge is really nice. I don't really like Purge versus Dracoel, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it interacts with some cards okay, but Ketsu's at 1. It stops Lucius, which is not terrible, but I don't like the fact that it doesn't interact with Fallen of White Dragon very well. It doesn't interact with Rahu very well. So I'm not a huge fan of Purge against Dracoel, at least when you go first. So I was not siding it in for those matchups, but I guess, like I said on the channel too, K9 Krishan, you can save it for Riverstormer. Purge goes crazy there. So I like Purge. I didn't play Lava Golem in the side deck for Lunalight or K9 Krishan because I didn't expect many people to play those decks in this Ironman tournament, which is funny because I said that, and then the first 2 Ironmans, it was like 3 K9 Krishan decks for 1 Lunalight. I'm like, what the heck? But most of the decks we ended up playing were, you know, where Dracoel we played against Julien Kehon's team, the world champion. We played against Pac. You know, there was like, I think Pac was on like 1 Dracoel, 1 Radiant, and then Julien was on 2 Dracoel. So we won those matches. Most of the matches we played were Dracoel. We only played against Dracoel or Radiant Typhoon, by the way. I mean that is a meta. But yeah, so this deck performed really well against Dracoel. Obviously, if you're siding Di-Fi, Di-Fi is, I mean, this card is really good, right? Just because you see it doesn't mean you auto-win. They do have some outs to Di-Fi, the Dracoel deck, but the card is really good and can guarantee some of your other plays resolve. And then Called By was a card I wasn't playing last format. However, I feel like this format, I didn't have the space for it last format because of Featherstorm, but now I had the space for it. I do not siding Call By into the mirror though. If they don't drop Perulia, the card's terrible, so I'm putting them on not drop Perulia. And I don't think you necessarily auto win the game if you are able to like play, but maybe I'm wrong about that. And then the third Sheena, mainly if we're going first in some matchups, like the mirror match, because like I said before, Sheena is really good when you are able to get your resources going. If you get hard stopped, Sheena is not a good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Well, it can be because it can stop some hand traps like Veiler or Mourner. But in general, like, if you get, like, let's say they Bell, they Imperm, they Ash you, I don't want Sheena in my hand. But in matchups where you're guaranteed to, like, play, like the mirror match, for example, because they're not playing hand traps, or a lot of hand traps, Sheena is absolutely custom. If you full combo and you have Sheena, you auto win the game. I mean, you should say if you full combo, you auto win the game anyway, but this is like a grindy deck, so yeah. And obviously, I'm playing Perulia, mainly for the mirror match, for K9 decks, etc. For the extra deck, 2 Wind Charmer and 3 Link 2 because I'm playing Extrav. Although I think I'd still play 2 Wind Charmer even if I wasn't playing Extrav, but not 100% sure. I ideally wanted to play a third Fusion for the Albion for the Fallen and Virtuous, but extra deck space, I didn't have it. Extra deck space was a bit tight, I will say that. And then for this list too, I played 2 Wind Charmer, I played second Totem Bird, and I played the 3 Fusion here. You see where the extra deck is less constricted. I had these additional targets, and I also played Greatfly. Greatfly is like an OTK enabler, which you might not think comes up, but actually kind of can. Which is super duper cool. So yeah. Oh, also, another card that I really like against Dracoel is Double Cyclone. I know some people are like, Lightning Storm is better, but I think Double Cyclone is better than Lightning Storm for a few reasons. Number one, it combos better with more cards, right? Let's say your hand is like 4 blanks, like a Vision or like a Chant and Lightning Storm. You have you don't have a way to stop the flame from negating your card, right? You know, whereas if my hand's like Double Cyclone Vision, when I activate my first spell, they're always going to stop it. They're always going to stop it, and I'm able to just chain Double Cyclone. And if you don't have any cards in graveyard, like you did in Flua, you use a spell, they go Flame, you chain Double Cyclone. It does a lot. The best scenario is like MST, right? You go MST on Sting, they go Flame, you go Double Cyclone, it has a lot of value. I think Double Cyclone lets you play in the draw phase better than Lightning Storm too. So it works with more cards. It lets you play in the draw phase better, which means you can play around Joel a bit more, which I like personally. I'm a fan of that as well. And yeah, Double Cyclone's been pretty chill for me. I have no complaints about it. I think it's the best card versus Dracoel. Lightning Storm has a slightly higher ceiling, but I think Double Cyclone gives you more utility. Like I said, it works well with better cards. I mean, you do have a lot of cards that can pair well with Lightning Storm, like Fallen, like Droplet, like MST, but I have even more. It's not going to be every hand. I mean, it sounds like a lot of cards, but there are quite a few hands where that's not going to be the case. Whereas, like, I have infinitely more. I have like 9 more cards that are going to pair well with Double Cyclone. So I feel like Double Cyclone is just a better card by far in the matchup. I'm a big fan of it. I like it a lot. And yeah, as for how the matchups go and what would I change for the decks, honestly, I think so. Going back to the second deck list, Forbidden Crown. Before I was on this card is just not good enough going second, so I don't think you should play Forbidden Crown, even though the card is really good going first. As for this list, I liked it a lot. I think I want to stay similar. I could see, for sure, I'm keeping in Fluid, Droplet, and I like these. I could see a world where maybe it's something different, but everything else is so bad. The only card I'm probably might change is Sheena, just because it's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. I think it might be the best option you have in the main deck for this slot, to be honest. So there's that. Also, you don't really need, like, also in terms of the ratios, like, why 2 Sheena? Well, number 1, deck space. I only have space for 2 more non-engine. But number 2, also, compared to other non-engine, Sheena is worse as a 3-of compared to the other cards. Because, like I said, Sheena is best when you're able to full combo going first. So if you get stopped, I'd rather have another non-engine card. And Sheena, also, if you full combo, you're going to thin your deck and then you're going to draw cards. So you have still a decent chance of seeing the Sheena. So it's kind of fine. As for the side deck, I'm for sure keeping the Dimensional Fissure, Call By. Pretty sure I still want Double Cyclone and Perulia. So it's just mainly like these 5 slots that I would consider changing, but I'm not even sure exactly what I would change it for. I like these cards. The only thing to consider is that right now, a lot of Dracoel players, Dracoel Magistus players, which Dracoel Magistus is a good deck, by the way. But not that many people are on it, so. A lot of people are trying to do like SDK stuff, like they're playing Secret Village, or they're trying to go like Invader of Darkness, or stuff like that, just like the SDK you out the game. And obviously, if I play against those decks, my list is not going to be that good against them, unless you have a hand trap for like an Ash Blossom on a certain spot, or like a Dominus Purge on a certain spot. So it might be worth looking into other options to stop those SDK combos, like Evenly Matched, which doesn't really stop Invader of Darkness, but does stop the Secret Village. You go like Evenly Secret Village, then you can play in the end step of the battle phase before they can find mana summon another dude. So there's that. So that's the main thing I would consider, but that really depends on what you think is going to see play. Otherwise, the list has been pretty clean for me. I have no complaints. I think when I go first, like I said, also this deck is not that consistent too. I guess one change is I didn't main deck Call By because even though the card's good going first, I don't like it in the mirror, and I don't really like it going second. But you could argue that you want to main deck Call By, because even though it's bad going second, it's like a pseudo consistency card when you go first, because if you open, it's basically the same as opening, let's say you open like LDM Swin, right? That plays you one hand trap, kinda. You could argue it's the same as opening like a name plus Called By. So in that scenario, the Swin was like a consistency card, it was an extender. In this scenario, the Call By was a consistency card, it was an extender. It's just obviously if you only open Call By, it's pretty bad. And then going second, it's also bad. But you can make that argument that Call By is a pseudo consistency card, so you want to main deck it. I personally chose not to. Obviously, if you go first, you want to reverse Dracoel. But yeah, so you can make that argument if you want. I don't hate main decking it, although I don't think it's correct. But if you did, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this list is terrible, you know, yada yada yada. But yeah, that's the main changes I would make. Oh, also, so in another thing you probably notice is here I'm playing 3 Albion, but here I'm actually playing 1 Albion and 1 Dragonman Devours the Dogma. So the reason that we're playing Dragonman Devours the Dogma is that it's a super poly target, because we play super poly in our deck, so sometimes we can go like 3 guys for this super poly, which is pretty cool. Not really gonna come with that much, but Albion and Dogma are mostly the same. The main difference is that like you can't activate Dogma under Typhoon, whereas you can under Albion. Also, this guy can not set the card, but generally you're gonna add the Albion to the hand. You're gonna add the Fallen of Virtuous to the hand anyway, because you'd rather have it in hand than set, because when you have it set, your opponent knows it's there. Also, you might want to have a card to discard for vision, so generally you're gonna add to hand anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah. As for, I think that's mainly it I wanted to talk about. The deck was really solid. I liked it a lot, performed very well. Even if we lost, I think, well, the first 2 Ironmans we didn't lose a game. No, we didn't lose a match, but we lost a game. I feel like the games that were lost were way winnable too. Like, this deck feels really super strong. I like it a lot. I think it's one of the, definitely a contender to win the 300 YCS. Well, all of them. So yeah. Anywho, I think that was it. Yeah, that's mainly it. All I wanted to talk about there. Oh, one more thing. The Mud Dragon against the mirror match. So going second, you're gonna super poly, obviously, for Mud Dragon. Something to keep in mind is that your Mud Dragon effective change attribute is important, but it's important because you can use it when they go like MST and try to mandate negate something. You can chain the Mud Dragon. Although MST in the mirror match is kind of lackluster as like for mandate negate, at least on the turn 2 anyway. But yeah, oh, also one more thing. Technically, Garua, you can super poly for Garua in the mirror match. With the Vortex and the Link 2, because they're both Aqua. But yeah, that's about it. But yeah, anywho, one other card that you could consider, I know, sorry, I keep saying anywho, and I keep going back and forth, is Magma, because Magma can search Sheena. This is another card I wanted to try as well, versus Dracoel. I was like, okay, maybe you Magma them, and if they open Fallen the Virtuous, okay, so like, think about it this way. Magma is Sheena, but better, right? In a lot of scenarios. Because let's say they open Fallen the Virtuous, or Fallen the White Dragon, they go Fallen, send that Fusion. Well, I can go Magnuma, banish the Fusion, and then Magma effective search, in the end phase I get Sheena. And it was basically Sheena, because I get Sheena in my hand, but I mean, they know it, they know you have the Sheena, so you could argue it loses value then. But you also get rid of like the Fallen and the Virtuous, so arguably it's better. My issue with playing it was, number 1, I wasn't really sure if Magma was consistently good against Dracoel, but if they only open Dracoel cards, the card's kind of lackluster. You could argue you win in those scenarios anyway, but do you really win if you have dead cards in your hand? I don't know. Also, them knowing you have the Sheena definitely makes Sheena worse. But sometimes they still have to play into it, so yeah. But anywho, that is it for the video. Hope you did enjoy the deck profile. Yeah, my partner was Toast, by the way. He was the main account we were using during the Ironman, because I could not. My laptop was pretty bad. I couldn't stream on my laptop, I'm not gonna lie. So most of the matches were played in his account because his PC is better. But I just got a PC, so now I can do that. And like I said, if you want like Radiant Typhoon help or just help for the Burst Protocol decks in general, I do have this like guide that me and Jibril made. You don't have to buy it, obviously. I'm still going to upload content on the channel, but if you want to, it has combos. The Radiant Typhoon section has combos, has like tips. I made like a document for each page, for each deck matchup, like for K9, how to play against K9, how to play against the mirror match, how to play against Dracoel, etc., etc. Like ruling document, a page for like general tips and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it is. I think it's really good. But you honestly, you should get it. You should get it. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care. Peace.